Childhood is without a doubt the best time of your life. Even the most mundane tasks can turn into an adventure, and believe it or not, for me, it was going to the shops. Every week I would get all wrapped up to do the big shop with my mum and my brother. On arrival at the supermarket, I would be presented with a shiny 50p. It would be placed in my hands with the specific instructions that this big coin was to buy food for all the cats and doggies that didn't have any. I would navigate the aisles carefully. I didn't want anything to interrupt my special mission, for that supermarket trip to me felt like I had the most important job in the world. At the end of the shop, I would walk up to the big charity cans and I would carefully deposit that 50p there. Even from a young age, my mother taught me about our duty as human beings, to care for others that are less fortunate, to always look out for people. She said that no matter how little we have, there's always something we can give to others. She reinforced that if you have the time and if you have the energy, then you must, no matter how small it seems. It could be a cup of tea with a neighbour, it could be going to the shops for someone that's not well, or it could be making sure that all the cats and dogs had something to eat that night too. My mother taught me empathy. And empathy is the ability to participate in the feelings or the ideas and the emotions of others. You can be sad at someone's bad news, you can be happy at their good news, or you can actually be angry at the injustice in this world, and I find myself getting quite angry a lot these days. Looking back as an adult, I find the lessons that she taught me even more profound now as an adult. But there was things that she kept hidden from me, things that I didn't know. Things she never told me about when we were in the supermarket. I didn't realise that my mother was a lone parent. She was struggling to make ends meet, and we were living in poverty. Every trip to the supermarket was planned down to the very last detail. Every penny was made to stretch, last longer, and go that little bit further. She made those childhood memories because she shielded me from having to worry about the things that she was worrying about too. And she was going without things for herself, which is something I'm sure we can all identify with. I've started to find that your experiences in childhood are like a dress rehearsal for adulthood. Those lessons in empathy, charity and doing right by others stayed with me and they followed me into adulthood. And actually chose jobs and causes where I felt like I had a connection and I felt that I could do something good in too. Having that awareness of knowing that my mother gave up all those things for me, it became my driver, and it's how I swear who I am in this world to this day. And I suppose it will come as no surprise to anyone in the room, but I ended up finding feminism in politics, or maybe it found me. It was one of those meetings. It helped me to look at life through a lens of class and poverty and gender. It helped me understand that all these factors actually play a massive role in your life chances in this world. I looked at my mum's experiences and I vowed to try to change the world in any way that I could. A few years ago, I found myself part of this grassroots feminist movement. They were called Women for Independence, and we were on a mission to change the lives of women in Scotland, and we wanted to do that through political activism. Period poverty was on our radar, but what exactly was period poverty and what could we do to fix it? I needed to find out exactly what period poverty was. It was a really new term, and there actually wasn't a lot of research out there to discuss it or to inform my thinking or tell me exactly, what it actually was. And to be honest, the more I looked, I found that there was actually massive gaps in finding out people's experiences of having their period. A woman's lived-in experience of menstruation is surprisingly not documented about that much. I had stumbled across a pretty huge data gap, and right there and then I knew what I had to do. I wanted to capture the lived-in experiences of women, girls and other people that menstruate. I wanted to get their voices, find those absence of voices, and I wanted to try and amplify them in any way that I could. I set about designing a research campaign called Free Period Scotland. I started designing the questions for it, everything from the branding to the delivery to the strategies to the engagement. I got obsessed by it and it became my passion project, it became my baby. I got so caught up in the planning of it that I kind of took my eye off about thinking about the impact that it would have in society and actually how that would land. I was so caught up in the moment right there and then. So it really took me by surprise and shock when it went live and it became so well received. When it went live with a big bang. There was something really different about this campaign. People were engaging with it, but our members were really driving it. People were tweeting about it, sharing it, convincing other people to do it. It was going outside of the political sphere as well. People that had never heard of Women for India were also taking the survey as well. People were starting to feel compelled, they were drawn to it, and they wanted to tell their story. People started to talk about periods in a way that we had never heard before. On top of that, we were smashing other goals. Politicians were engaging with the research campaign. People were endorsing it all over the political landscape as well. 100, 200, 300, 400. The numbers kept rising and the public support was rising with that too. At one point I knew that the campaign had truly peaked when I woke up one morning and it was to a tweet from the First Minister. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, Nicola Sturgeon, the First Minister of Scotland, is supporting and endorsing Free Period Scotland. For what should have been an incredible moment was actually filled with a lot of embarrassment too. See, I would have thought my Twitter handle through a little bit more and with a little bit more maturity if I thought the First Minister was going to be tweeting VV Fabs. And I think for people in here of a certain age, you'll understand that if you've still got, like a Hotmail account that ends in the year 2000. But after the campaign, that's when the real work began. Over 1,000 women had taken part in the survey, as did other people who had experiences of menstruating. There was over 2,500 qualitative responses. I started coding them, analysing them, trying to kind of find out what were the themes, what was actually going on. I got lost in the data so much. My house ended up like a scene from Good Will Hunting, but without the physics. There was post-its everywhere, on the walls, on the table. My house is actually still covered in post-it notes to this day. People come up and they're like, are you alright in here? And I'm like, it's fine, it's for the data. But the data told me a few things. It told me that period poverty definitely exists. Period poverty is largely invisible. And period poverty also fluctuates depending on your financial stability too. So it could happen to you in a one-off time, or it could happen at you at different parts of your life as well. And as women, that's something that we're kind of more at risk of than anyone else. It taught me that period poverty happens to 1 in 4 women in Scotland, and it could be happening to the person sitting next to you in here today. And I think that there's no way to justify this when we're living in one of the 5th richest economies in the world. It's a shame and it's a disgrace, and I'm glad things are starting to change. When I was picking through all the responses, 1/3 of the women had indicated that they were living in a household where more than one person had a period too. I dug deeper, I wanted to find out more about this. And through the responses, I started to see that mothers going without for their daughters was a very common theme. It's just second nature. Mothers spoke about, going without products so their daughters didn't have to experience shame and humiliation. Mothers went without products so their daughters didn't have to stay off school too. But then something really stood out and it caught my eye. Women started talking about health problems, and they were talking about the impacts of either not having period products or not having enough products. Women were talking about skin conditions from overusing products, they were talking about contracting bacterial infections, and they were talking about rashes and all sorts of different ailments as well that they hadn't ever really discussed before in public or shared or disclosed to anyone. But then 3 letters stood out at me, and it just made me stop in my tracks. Someone started talking about TSS, toxic shock syndrome. And I thought, oh my goodness, why is that ringing? Why does that feel familiar to me? What's going on? Then I had a flashback, thinking back to when I was a wee girl. And there was one time when I remember my mum had a fever for days. She was bedridden. She was so bedridden that we had to get the doctor out. And when the doctor came out, she was asking my mum questions, is your fingers tingling or your toes tingling? Can you feel your limbs and stuff as well? After being in the house for 5 minutes, the doctor ordered an ambulance. And I always remember the doctor saying to my mum, "Margaret, are you wearing a tampon? How long have you been wearing that for?" And at the time I was too young to understand or to make any type of connection. But when I was 13 and I took my first period, my mum had a big chat with me, we all get to chat, and she was telling me about what type of products to use. And she started telling me that she didn't want me using tampons. And she started telling me just that years and years and years ago, she'd actually had to go to hospital because she was wearing a tampon for far too long, way over the safety time as well. It really hit me hard, and I was taken aback, because while teaching me to make the world a better place and to do right by others, my mother was putting her health at grave risk. She was putting herself in so much danger so that she could teach me values and teach me how to look after others. That carefree wee girl running through the supermarket had no idea of the monthly struggle that my mum was going through. I had no idea that my mum was making sacrifices day after day, and that many other women are making these sacrifices on a daily basis. What I found is that when we talk about people living in poverty, we always talk about, choosing between heating and eating. It's like the kind of like a phrase, like a buzzword. But what Free Period Scotland demonstrated to me was that so many people are choosing between heating, eating and bleeding. And for me that is just completely unacceptable. Thankfully, things have started to change. Free Period Scotland was a catalyst for change, not only in Scotland, but on a global scale. In the last couple of years, Scotland has become a world leader, not only in the fight for period poverty, but in the pursuit for menstrual justice too. It's been fascinating to watch. You can see it everywhere you go. You can even see it in here today. Schools, colleges, university, clubs, football stadiums, workplaces. In fact, you can even get a period product now when you go for a pint. It's become so normalised, and people having a period has become much more visible than I could have ever hoped for or ever imagined. Looking back, I feel great pride in understanding that my mother's experiences were the key driver in my motivation to take action. It's a real lesson in how adversity breeds resilience. And I'm so proud of everything that Free Period Scotland has achieved, but I'm even more proud of all of the women who were so brave in sharing their experience too. The strides we are taking as a country right now, they're built on the backs of the women that went without. They're built on the backs of the women who were degraded by lack of choice, but they're also built on the backs of the women who actually used their voice. Everyone in this room will face adversity at one point or another. It can make you, it can break you, but it just might make you a change maker. Thanks.